Hello, my loves. Welcome to Be for Vibrant. My name is Kellyanne, and today is the last day where I'm sharing resources, very specific, actionable tools for getting unstuck from the patterns in your life that are just oppressive and annoying. I mean, just it's so difficult to get ourselves out of the rut. It's so difficult to find our way when we're feeling lost. It's so difficult to even recognize when we're stuck because sometimes we're stuck in more ways than one, and it's hard to find the thread and go, oh, this is where that starts. This is where this is coming from. Or this is the right thing to figure out first. Figuring figuring it out is a really tough thing to do with life. And like I talked about in the last video, sometimes our metrics are off. Sometimes the way that we compare our lives and we compare what it means to have it all figured out to our own lives, the way that we compare those things just makes us feel even more stuck. So I hope you go back and you watch that video, and I hope you watch the other two previous videos if you haven't yet already. Today, in our last video, we are talking about getting unstuck by virtue of really having a conversation with our worries about the future. Hello, anxiety, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again. Yeah, we're talking about anxiety. We're talking about living in the future tense. And we're talking about getting unstuck by returning to the present. Okay. So I feel like I just said everything right there and we could just finish it because I mean, that's really what it takes to get unstuck from that worried state of mind is coming back to the present. But I have some tools that I want to share because I've been there before. It's a really, it's kind of an intoxicating place. Like when you have anxiety, it's really intoxicating. And as somebody who, if you're into astrology, you'll understand this. As somebody who is a Virgo moon, I just love to try to figure out what the future holds and figure out the next right step to take and just have things figured out in general. I guess the key phrase for this video is figured out. Because it would be nice if we knew what was going to happen, right? It would be nice if we knew how to get what we want. It would be nice if the very next step that we need to take to get to where we want to go when we're feeling lost just appeared before us and was like, here, take me next, take this path next. Or like a sign, like a literal physical sign pointing us in one direction and saying, that away would be so nice. That's not how the world works, though. That's not how life works. It's not how we're meant to live. And so we create all of these like alternate realities in our minds. We create the alternate reality where this thing goes wrong. We create the alternate reality where that person gets mad at us. We create the alternate reality where this particular confrontation ruins everything. And so we get stuck in relationships that are abusive. We get stuck in friend groups that make us feel more lonely than when we're actually alone by ourselves. We get stuck in this sort of dismal landscape of like what could be and trying to tiptoe around all of the landmines that we think we're seeing. And that just means that we're creating a lot of imaginary landmines, which, I mean, hello, no wonder you feel stuck. No wonder if you feel stuck and lost. If you're like, there are 1,000 landmines around me, then yeah, you might hunker down and stay right where you are. Your anxiety might create all of these different worries that keep you from doing anything at all. The analysis paralysis is so real. But analysis paralysis is inspired by our anxiety's need to keep us living in the future, keep living us in that future tense, that alternate reality where we think we know what's going on, or we think we know what's going to happen. We think we can predict what's going to happen. And the issue with that is we end up not moving forward because we don't trust in our own power in the present moment to make the right decision. So I want to give you a tool right here and now, which is that there is a world out there of possibilities. And I want one of your greatest resources coming away from this video to be that you can resource potential from any and everything. It can be really kind of debilitating in relationships to think of a person's, potentials and stuff, because then we're making up stories for them and we're creating excuses for them. And I'm not talking about for people. I'm talking about for you. I'm talking about for you and your next right thing, whatever that might be. Okay. So I'm going to give you a tool that I believe I included in another video. Was it the second video? Where I talked about why you like being in the pit, why we like being stuck. It might have been that one. But I want to share it again, if indeed it is again, because it really is that powerful. It really is, like I said right at the beginning, all of these resources I'm giving are tools that you can use for multiple purposes, not just for getting unstuck. So this is one of my multi-purpose tools that I use all the time and that I love, and that I have actually turned into an event that I host on a regular basis called The Wandering. And if you haven't been a part of this event and you would like to really reduce the level of perfectionism and sort of analysis paralysis, like future anxiety that you experience, be sure to check out my Patreon, linked in the description for this video, because you're gonna be able to activate this resource in this tool much better when I guide you through it and when I guide you through the entire process than you might get just from this video now. I really believe that anybody can take anything from this video and use it themselves and use it the right way. But it's always nice to have a guide. It's always nice to have somebody who knows what they're doing and who's been there before, who can take your hand and be like, come on. So the tool is maybeing. I love maybeing because what maybe does is it opens our minds and reminds our brains to stop fixating on the absolute rightest, goodest thing and focus more on potential, on possibilities. Okay. So this is how you maybe, right? Let's say you're worried about how conflict is going to go with a friend of yours. And so you are feeling stuck in a relationship that's less satisfying and less than what you believe it could be. Like you've seen in this relationship, like we've had really good moments and I felt really supported by this person, but right now I don't. And I feel kind of stuck in my own head over this thing that happened or something they said or something I said, or wondering if something I did made them act a certain way that they're acting now. You're worrying about conflict that might happen, or you're even just worrying yourself about conflict that you already feel, that you're not sure how it's going to go and how it's going to play out in the future. You're worrying about the future. In this instance, it's great to maybe. So find one question that you want to ask yourself about this situation. What is the worst possible thing that could happen if I told this person how I feel? What is the best possible thing that could happen if I told this person how I feel? You can opt into asking yourself whatever question feels really resonant for you, like feels in your body like, ooh, I really want to answer that question. Ask that question, write it down on the top of a piece of paper. Give yourself 9 minutes. I find that 9 minutes, 10 minutes if you want, but 9 minutes is like the sweet spot for just writing, writing, writing until the time stops. But sorry, my brain is like trying to give you multiple instructions at once. Writing until the timer goes off, but making sure that you are continuously writing. Even if the thing that you're writing sounds ridiculous, or you only have a half-baked idea and you don't have the fully formed idea or sentence in your mind yet and you don't know where it's going, just keep writing. Because what you're going to do is you're going to start every sentence that answers that question at the top of the paper with maybe. Every single one. And if you end a sentence and you don't know what's going to come next, just start writing the word maybe. Maybe they're going to go off on me because they have a short fuse. Maybe they're going to end our relationship because I've hurt them before. Maybe the worst thing that could happen is just rewrite the question, rephrase the question if you need to. Just write the word maybe over and over again. But continue to go through possibilities, because once you purge some of those very initial thoughts and initial responses to how you think something might go, then you start to get into other realms of possibility. Then you start to get into other areas where it's like, oh, I didn't even consider that this worry that I have that was tucked underneath this conflict that I have, or tucked underneath this concern that I have, I didn't even realize that it was affecting this thing. I didn't even realize that there were other options for me to look at and for me to pay my attention to. I've been paying all of my attention dollars to this one thing, and this one worry that I have is getting rich and fat off of all of my attention that I'm paying it. But now there's other options and other possibilities. There are other maybe decisions that I could make, maybe choices that I could make, maybe outcomes that could happen as a result of doing this thing or saying this thing or trying on this other version of myself. Maybeing can get you way unstuck so quickly, and it only takes, like I said, 10 minutes. And what you can do Two is you can go back through and you can just like circle as many of those answers or underline as many of those answers as like feel good for you. Like what is better feeling, than maybe this person is going to, maybe the worst thing that's going to happen is this person is going to not want to be my friend anymore. Maybe they will completely understand and berate me for how long it took me to tell them that I was hurting because they love me so much that they would never want me to suffer quietly by myself. Maybe that's the worst thing that could happen. Did you ever consider that? I didn't, because I didn't use maybe to get me there. I didn't use maybe to open up my world of possibilities. So you can go back through and underline all of the different versions of the answers to the questions that you have about the areas of life that you're stuck in, so that you can really start to reframe things. Because when we worry, we have a hard time reframing. We have a hard time moving from one place to another. And that's all that getting unstuck is. Just moving from one place to another. One place where we feel like we can't even imagine moving our feet with these big, heavy lead boots on, lead filled boots that are just like keeping us dragging through a landscape that just terrifies us. I'm terrified of what might happen if I told this person this thing. I'm terrified of what might happen if I leave my job. I'm terrified of what might happen if I bring another child into this world or into this relationship, this partnership that I have with the person that I'm making this child with. I'm terrified of, and I have these lead boots on that mean I have nowhere else to go. Maybeing takes off the lead boots and gets you walking again. And that's why I put it in the wandering. That's why it's a big part of the wandering, because it's so useful for getting us moving and not needing to have like an ultimate destination or to find the right answer right away. It gives us space. And that is a really big part of getting untrapped from anxiety, is the spaciousness to just feel other things, feel anything other than anxiety. If you know how that feels, I would love to hear about the flavor of anxiety that you have. Is it social anxiety? Is it generalized anxiety? What kind of anxiety do you have? Do you have the future sort of invasive thoughts anxiety? I just want to hear about it, because it's been a companion of mine for many years. And that's also something that's going to help me segue into another tool, another resource before I end this video. Another tool and resource for getting unstuck from worrying about the future and asking yourself, what am I worried about? What am I so worried about? That's another thing that you can maybe on. Just to return to the last resource, that's another thing you can maybe on. What am I so worried about? And you can, maybe I'm worried about this, maybe I'm worried about that, maybe I'm worried about, maybe I'm worried about, maybe I'm worried about. And you might find your way into something really brilliant. I promise. I promise. Just try it. Just give it a little try. Could be fun. Could be fun. The other resource that I have for you is, if anxiety is a companion for yours and of yours, and worry is something that you've been doing a lot throughout the years, it might be time, if you don't have a therapist or something akin to that, to find somebody that you can talk with about it. And I don't think that the conventional colonizers version of capitalist version of therapy is the most helpful, I think it is helpful, but I don't think it's the most helpful. And I'll tell you the thing that I think is the most helpful. The most helpful thing is to have a group of people that you can verbally process with and that you can share your life with. Because when you are relying on just like one person and one person's perspective, then you start to rely on their perspective more than your own sometimes. And that can happen in a partnership. If you're in a relationship, a romantic partnership and relationship with somebody, then you might start to rely on them for the therapizing that they do for you, for just listening to you and giving you feedback or helping you to get to another place mentally, emotionally, so that you can, in some ways, feel a little less stuck, a little less lost. When we're relying on just one anchor person in our life, then we start to outsource that worry and concern to them. And we save it all up for that person and we kind of dump a little bit, or we start to feel more comfortable with uh, seeking their advice or seeking their opinion because we value it more than our own. And what a group of people does, whether it's a therapy based group, or it's a group of friends, or it's a group of people that you share a hobby with. It could be your D&D party and you guys go out to eat together and you take that opportunity to be vulnerable and say, I'm worried about this thing and I feel really stuck in my worry and I don't really know what to do about it. When you have groups of people, then it's not just a one-way street where you're finding that you're getting the same perspective over and over again. You have multiple perspectives, and it's very much a take what works for you and leave the rest kind of situation where you have to be a little judicious and a little discerning about what you actually absorb and integrate and what you allow to alchemize your reality. But it also gives you so many mirrors. Like you're looking at different versions of yourself in all of these different colors and different fractals of you. When people say, yeah, oh my gosh, I worry about the same thing, or oh my gosh, my sister was telling me she was worried about that, and you know what helped her is this other thing, let me connect you with that thing. We have human resources who have so much more to give us when we sort of share the burdens of our own worries and our stuckness and our lostness with more people, because then it's like this big thing, this big pie that everybody takes little nibbles out of, and nobody really walks away feeling full of your shit, right? Because that's what we're worried about when we're talking to other people and when we're sharing with other people. We're like worried that we're going to be a burden to them. Well, if you give a whole pie to your therapist or you give a whole pie to your partner and you're like, please eat this whole thing and tell me what you think. It's a lot to swallow. It's tough. And then you're only getting one perspective, one person's perspective on how that pie tastes. When you get a lot of perspectives on how the thing that you're carrying feels, sounds, looks, smells, tastes, then you're getting so many threads to pull on, and you're kind of giving the universe permission to find more alternatives for helping you as well. Because if you're just sitting and relying on maybe just yourself for all the things that you need, and you're not the kind of person to ask for help, you're not the kind of person to share with other people, you're not the kind of person to just like divulge how you're really doing, then you're telling the universe, this is the only path by which I can receive help, because I'm the one responsible for fixing me and figuring this out, and we're right here. When you expand and you get help from a lot of different people, then suddenly you're telling the universe, I'm open, girl. Yeah, girl, I'm open. You can send me this, you can send me that, you can send me this, you can send me that. I am open to all forms and versions of learning more about this thing that I feel stuck in, so that I can get unstuck that much quicker. And this is actually the resource that I was going to share, but I held off on in the last video, on checking our metrics for success and for fulfillment. Because when you are sharing in groups of people and you are a part of community in some way or another, then you are also checking your metrics in that space. And to have that conversation with them of like, I'm stuck in this thing. Is this just capitalism getting me down? I'm really stuck in this thing. Is this just patriarchy getting me down? What do y'all think? Then you get to have that, like I said, the expansion of the rat's cage, like I said in the last video, the expansion of the rat's cage, and you all realize, like, oh, we're in the cage together. Ooh, I see you now. We've got some more work to do here. We've got some more chatting to do about this thing, chatting about our ratting. And you also get to really see the vision for, oh, this is how we get unstuck. This is how we collectively get unstuck, and this is how I, as an individual, can get up out of this pit. Somebody else has already built the ladder for getting out of this pit, and my friend's sister heard from this person about this thing, and now I get to borrow the ladder so that I can replicate it and go, oh, let me build my own ladder, but here are the blueprints for getting me out of this fucking pit, getting me unstuck from this place where I'm just concerned about what might be. Our power comes from the collective and being able to resource all of the different strengths that the people in our lives have, or that the people in our world have, that we just haven't even met them yet. And our power also comes from living in the present and not being so concerned about what the next right thing is. I hope that these resources become tools in your tool belt that you use on a frequent basis. And that really wraps our, uh, 3 days of resources and tools for getting unstuck. And I really would like to take this second to invite you into my Patreon, where for $5 a month or $55 a month, whatever you are able to contribute, you can get every single resource in addition to these 3 that I just gave on getting unstuck and out of the pit. That's right, I've got more. I've got more resources because I'm kind of an expert on getting unstuck at this point. I've been stuck many times in my life, mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, and there are meditations for all of those that are being released as we speak in my Patreon. Okay, so if you go to the Vibrant Resource Library and Community on patreon.com/V for Vibrant, VFOR Vibrant, the link is in the description below, then you're going to have access to all of these things. And for me, my Patreon isn't like other Patreons. It's not like a pay for more stuff the more money you give kind of experience like other Patreons are. It is a pay what you can, get everything no matter what kind of place, kind of experience. Because I really believe in the socialist, communist uh, ideology that we should be sharing our resources with each other because we all do better collectively when we are openly sharing our strengths. And this is one of my strengths. This is one of my strengths. This is one of my resources as a human. You are tapping into me as a human resource right now. And if you have another $10 a month to spare on a community and community grounds where we are collectively working through things together, in addition to all of these resources that I not only have available right now, but that are being released throughout this summer here. If you're watching this in 2025, in the summer of 2025, hello, they are continuing to come out every Sunday and Tuesday so that you can tap into these in a chill, relaxing way, maybe kind of, do a little deep dive for just an hour on Sundays. And then Tuesdays, you get to like take a little bit more action. You get to like really try to ask yourself a few more questions that provoke new thoughts, new understanding of how you can create the life that you desire. I mean, I think it's pretty freaking cool. And I think if you have any inclination toward getting unstuck and really figuring out what it takes to get you unstuck from all of the areas of your life that feel sticky for you or that you feel lost in, I think this is a wonderful start. I love you so much. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe if you feel called to, or share this video with somebody who also experiences anxiety, worries about the future, needs a little help getting out of their own head. And I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful rest of your day. Mwah.